live in a unique time period in the history of the world. The entire world is battling a raging pandemic. This is once in a 100-year event. Last time when a similar tragedy struck was when the Spanish flu caused havoc in 1918 until 1920. It went on for 2 years, and the Spanish flu came in waves, and hundreds of millions of lives were lost. Several such pandemics have occurred during the course of human history. Destruction of life and economic cycles has always been the end result of such events. Now it may feel as if the world is coming to an end. And this is how people must have felt when more than half the population was decimated during the plague pandemics that hit the continent in the 14th century, when an estimated 100 or more million people would have died. Now today, the young may find the present situation daunting, confusing, and more than that, I'm sure they have this feeling of powerlessness, not being able to do anything to affect the situation. And as far as India is concerned, we have been doing a pretty good job compared to other nations, at least until now. The amount of COVID deaths have been remarkably low if we consider the size of our population, the scope of our population, the density of our population, and the scale at which our population is spread out. There is hardly any nation except China that can match us in size and scope. Now this pandemic has taken a pretty drastic toll on the Indian economy. The IMF has predicted that India's GDP is going to shrink by nearly 4.5%, which is to say that the economic growth will be negative 4.5%. And sadly, it is going to get worse before it gets better. And it will get better. Now here's something that I would like to tell all the young minds. Number one, do not feel sorry for yourself. In the end, no one really cares, really. Stop blaming others, and especially the situation. Given the situation on our borders, along with China, there could very well be a war in the near future. And then what are you going to do? Blame the war? No one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear that you had interviews lined up till the pandemic struck. There is no time or place for playing a victim. You have to carry your own water. As far as my situation is concerned, personally, my closest and the dearest member of my family, my own mother, came down with the COVID-19 virus. And as a family, we never did once talk negatively. It was all about what next, how can we make it better for mom? And thankfully, through sheer determination of my mother and people around her, we got over it. It's in the past. One must always remember, if you look at history, people and the world at large have always emerged stronger. Each time there has been a drastic event, a devastation, a catastrophe, the world, the people, the nation, they have all emerged stronger. And you, my dear friends, have to be a part of the gang that made it. And always remember, when you cry alone. This was said by the great Charlie Chaplin as we know it. who made great movies even during the Depression and during wartime. Now, the lockdown that has been going on in many parts of India, like Bombay, Chennai, Assam, even Bangalore, the lockdown continues to go on. Although it is not as strict as it started, but still there is every bit of effort by the government to lock things down. Now, this is a unique opportunity. You have to find a silver lining in the dark clouds. The opportunity is that this lockdown gives us the time to sit back and reevaluate as to what is important. Life is the most important. Accomplishment, success, competition are not more important than life. Period, full stop. What good is $1 billion if you're too sick or too busy to enjoy it? Think about that. If you're healthy in body, mind, and spirit, half the battle is already won. The most important thing in life, the most important perhaps, is to be happy. It's all that matters. Let no one ever tell you otherwise. So it is time to find out what is important to you. It may be anything. If it brings you happiness, then that is it. You have to stick with it. Another thing reevaluation should bring about is that you have to listen to your own voice. You take advice of your parents, your friends, your coaches, the leaders around you, but eventually it is what you want to do is what matters. And to the young, I would like to say, even I am young, but still, you guys are younger. Youth and exuberance, it all lasts only 5 minutes. It's all over before you know it. People get stuck in the rut of life, and days, weeks, months, and years go by. And by the time you know it, you're stuck in the circle of life. So youth and exuberance last only 5 minutes. Make use of it as much as you can. Now, this is also the time to find out where your passions lie. Time to find out, as I said earlier, what makes you happy. It could be anything. Money is good. Nothing wrong with it. Family, even better. Friends, success, adulation, what have you. Or it could be a combination of all. But believe me, even to lead a simple life can be hard if not planned properly. In fact, living a simple life is very hard because you have to have everything in perfect proportion. And it doesn't happen that easily. You have to have enough money. You have to have a partner that loves you. You have to have kids that listen to you. Or if you're a single individual, decide to live on your own, then you should have something that you like doing the most. You have a whole bunch of friends around you that listen to you, love you. So even to lead a simple life can be hard if not planned properly. So this time you spend on self-evaluation will set you apart from the lot. Do not dwell on it. Do not think about it constantly, but keep it at the back of your mind all the time. Now, there are various tools for this process. There are books written, hundreds and thousands of books written by very eminent people who are coaches, mentors, and whatnot. There are courses, there are seminars. Go for it. Do a Google search, find out what's happening online, And this is the best time to do this because everything is online and generally everything is a lot cheaper also. So use this time, do some search, find out where your passions lie. Now, another thing about passion is don't try and find your passion, you know, let it find you. And how you go about doing that is a big, big question. For that, you have to know yourself, which in itself is an extremely difficult process. To know oneself is hard, and most of us probably will leave this world without having found it. But there is a simpler way to do it, or you can come close to it. It is to find out what you are not or who you're not. A simple process of elimination. I'll give you an example. Now, I'm certain that nearly all of us who are logged in for this webinar are not going to win the Olympic gold in a 100-meter dash event. It's not going to happen. So that is definitely out of the window. So no point in attempting to be a world-class athlete and waste your time. But running fast for a hobby and fitness is great, but it is not going to pay your bills. You may learn how to shoot well, but it may be too late to become a soldier or a policeman. But coaching a talent that is inclined towards winning a 100-meter gold in the Olympics, or coaching a young person to try out for an entrance exam, mentoring him, finding the books that he needs, finding the classes he needs to join because he wants to get into the NDA. This is a challenge that you can certainly take up. So in this process of elimination, it is likely that you may end up with one thing that makes you happy and something that comes to you naturally without having to do that extra bit. It is a process, and sometimes it can be a long, drawn out process. If you find it, hold on to it, nurture it, see it evolve. Who knows? You will be a master of it someday and become a mentor. Now, another very important thing, very important thing is confidence. You have to be confident in any situation. Without confidence, nothing will come your way. You can have all the knowledge, you can have all the content, you could have read all the books, you could have been mentored by the best people around you, but if you're lacking confidence, it will never come out of you. You will never be able to deliver. You will never be able to make decisions. You will never be able to communicate, which is the most important thing, communication. So if you're lacking in confidence, try and build confidence. It's a hard thing to do, but you can do it through practice. Now, when all this time is available to you, this is also a time to develop new habits or maybe even learn some new skills. Set your goals. And when I say set your goals, take a sheet of paper and write it down. Whatever it may be, whatever the goal may be. It may be setting up a company as a startup. It may be a group of friends getting together, wanting to design an app that probably helps people find their lost pets, getting a job at Amazon, losing weight, preparing for an entrance exam, whatever. See, there are certain rules or certain things that sets apart people who are successful, and people who are equally good but do not achieve that success. Let me quickly go over it what they are. Maybe something may stick in your mind and you may follow it. First is do what you do not want to do. This is what will get you where you want to be. And by that I mean is if you have to get up at 3 a.m. in the morning to attend a course that you always wanted to attend, but it is being held in a remote corner of the world and the time difference doesn't allow you a better time, then you should still go ahead and do it. Most people do not want to do that. But then it is about you and not others. The second part is people tend to postpone the hardest thing. Always take up the hardest thing first. It should always be done first. It is only then you're addressing your goals in the first place. And here's something about goals. You don't have to do everything all at once. You cannot climb Mount Everest in one go. You have to do it bit by bit, 10 meters, 20 meters. As the oxygen goes down, sometimes you take even 10 steps and that is it, you're done. So take action every day of the week, pointed in the direction of your goals. It will make things a lot easier. Do something, however big or little, to achieve that goal. Could be anything. If you need a job, you need to make some LinkedIn contacts in that particular company, do that. After making the contact, you want to make a call, then do that. You have to talk to a coach, do that. You have to read a book, do that. If it requires finishing a LinkedIn tutorial, then finish that. Because doing something every day in the direction of your goals will make you feel like a winner. It will give you the satisfaction of not wasting your time, of not sitting and simply cogitating, thinking, doing nothing. And also remember, there are no off days. There are no rest days. Yes, maybe 1 or 2 days in the week, you do little towards that goal. Maybe one step. Maybe you just read a page from a book. Maybe you just make one call for 2 minutes, but you did something. And also, rejections and no's are a sign that you are trying and that you have to try harder and try smarter. Every rejection and every no has got something that went wrong somewhere. Maybe it's the other person who said no, maybe he didn't like you. Maybe there's someone better. So you just have to find that out if you can. But try smarter. Try harder, but try smarter. Keep learning and do it better the next time until you get it right. And rejections in the end, my friend, are delays in the end. Treat them as that and only that. Keep going. Another very important point is do not self-flagellate. Do not beat yourself up. Do not be unkind to yourself. But give enough credit to yourself. Praise yourself. Oh man, I did a good job. I tried hard. It didn't work out. It's fine. Praise yourself whenever you can. Self-deprecation will not lead you anywhere. Focus on skill development. This is the time to do it. Reading and building a repository of knowledge is never ever a bad thing and will always keep you a step ahead of the curve. Having a partner, this is one last point that I would like to add, is that accountability is huge. It's a big thing. If two people get together, or maybe a group of people, and they decide to be accountable to each other and vice versa, it adds on towards achieving your goal, because you have told someone that you're going to do this, and they in turn have told you that they are going to do this. At the end of the day, you have to be accountable to them and they are to you. Accountability leads to responsibility and thereby productivity. Now let's come to the second part. It's a complete jump from what I was talking about. Self-Reliant India. What do we mean by it? It is essentially a country, or India, that is able to take care of itself without having to depend too much on the outside world for support. This is not a new concept. India is already a self-reliant nation for over many decades. As far as its foundations are concerned, its constitutional foundations are concerned, they are solid. There has always been a smooth transfer of power between successive governments after free and fair elections. Never has been a case where the UN or any second or a third country has had to come and intervene. It has never happened. India's economy is also largely self-reliant, nearly in all sectors: agriculture, infrastructure, manufacturing, engineering, software, IT, etc. Our central bank today has over $500 billion in foreign exchange reserves, which is a very, very, very healthy reserve. And India is also a leader in niche areas such as space and atomic energy. India has one of the most potent militaries in the world and is able to take care of its disputes with other nations and maintain vigil across the ocean on its own caliber. Self-reliant in today's terminology essentially means an India that has now to be also self-reliant in areas that it has found to be traditionally weak and has its economy heavily import dependent on other nations and based on unfavorable terms. Some of the examples are electronic components, communication systems such as 4G, 5G, aerospace products, which includes aircrafts. Now, nearly 90% of the aircrafts in the world, commercial aircrafts in which you and I sit and travel, are manufactured by just two companies, Boeing and Airbus. And we are also lacking in advanced materials. So like that, there are many areas in which the Indian economy is heavily import dependent. Now, defense is another area where the government of India is paying special attention to increase indigenization so that the import of weapon system can be reduced. You must have heard recently newspaper reports coming that India is buying Sukhois and MiGs from Russia on a fast track basis. It has asked Israel to give us a missile defense systems for the protection of its forces. Now, these are the areas where India is lacking. We have the technology. We have the brilliant minds who can put these things together. But we haven't created the ecosystem to sustain manufacturing where all these things, systems would have been made available. Now, and in all likelihood, there is going to be an increase in employment generation in the defense sector in the coming years. Now, Self-Reliant India, the translation, I mean, our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, in his address to the nation on May 12th, called this campaign as Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, Self-Reliant India movement. And he defined 5 pillars: economy, infrastructure, system, demography, and demand. He stressed upon the fact that it is time to become vocal for our local products and make them global. Now, this does not mean that vocal for local does not mean that we boycott foreign goods. Now, this is basically, you know, an ad hoc reaction by people. Vocal for local means that you support your local industry, you support your micro, medium, and small enterprises. You support by buying some of their products. That's what will bring them ahead of the curve. And under this campaign, a special economic package has been released by the government, which will benefit various segments. And it includes cottage industry. Cottage industries are basically small industries that are found in villages, manufacturing textile and handicrafts and village products. Then micro, small, and medium enterprises, laborers, middle class, and industry, among others. Now, the entire package announced by Prime Minister, along with various packages released during the lockdown period, comes to around 20 lakh crores, or nearly 10% of India's GDP. In dollar terms, it is about $283 billion. Now, all this, my dear friends, it's not going to happen overnight. It is going to take some time for the investments to seep in various sectors. We are still not out of the pandemic. As I had indicated, the worst is yet to come. We still have to reach our peak. We still have to flatten our curve. We still have to flatten our curve on an all India level at a point where it becomes safe for other countries to travel to India and allow Indians to travel to other countries. That will by far be the biggest indicator of the fact that our economy is now slowly coming back to normal. Now, coming back to Atmanirbhar Bharat plan, it will take some time before the plan begins to generate job across various sectors, but it will happen. Now, let me talk about the present scenario for opportunities, the various sectors. Friends, if you write down on a piece of paper all the sector, the private sector, public sector, government sector, not-for-profit sector, etc., the military, judiciary, the most important and the strongest sector is the government sector. There is hardly any area where the government does not represent. So, turning towards the government for a job or an opportunity is always a good thing. And some of the niche sectors such as railways, space, defense, atomic energy, shipping are still dominated by the government. Government agencies not only provides job security, but also provide some of the best on-the-job training. And this is a fact. Many of you who join the government may decide in the future to try their hand in the private sector. And believe me, you will be more than ready after having served in the government. People are looking, private sector is looking for people who have been in the government. They do get a premium for their experience of having served in the government. So government sector is something that I would like you all to consider. Look at it. See what the areas are. If for example, You want to be a part of a large infrastructure project? Delhi Metro is there. It is again run by the government. So there is hardly any area which the government does not represent. And the training given by the government is the best. And it's free while you're on the job. You don't have to go pay extra money to a university to do that. Now, apart from the pandemic that is affecting all of us globally, the other most important thing is global warming and climate change. This is now perhaps the most important area of concern, even more than the pandemic. At least you can fight the pandemic, get a vaccine, and be done with it. But global warming and climate change is here to stay. Things are not going to change. The damage that has been wreaked on the environment most likely is going to be irreversible. Just last week, temperatures in Siberia have touched 40 degrees centigrade, which is unheard of in the history of human civilization of that region. Now, this has prompted global community to move for finding alternative or corrective measures. This is another area where the young minds can look for opportunities. Numerous organizations are dedicated to the study of global warming and climate change. Numerous companies, startup companies are there that are looking at global warming, climate change very intently, creating mathematical models, finding out what best can be done. Now, linked to global warming and climate change is the circular economy concept. Circular economy concepts are now being given special importance in economics, as this area is closely linked to finding solutions related to climate change. A circular economy is an economic system aimed at eliminating waste and the continual use of resources. Now, let me make it simple. Waste to energy projects. You collect all the waste, take it to an energy plant, burn that waste, convert it into electricity, and supply it to industry, household, whatever. Now, this is now being implemented across many states. In fact, UP is doing quite well. There are foreign organizations. There are Indian organizations. There are international organizations such as the World Economic Forum, UN, World Bank, who are involved in implementing circular economy projects. And waste to energy project is just one small element of a circular economy. There are hundreds of examples, and a lot of technology across the world is available that deals with circular economy. You can either be allied with these organizations and work on projects. You can be a consultant. Apart from that, you can even be sort of a facilitator. You can get in touch with companies in Europe that are into circular economy. Try and bring those technologies to India. There is immense opportunity, believe me, my friends, when I tell you, circular economy is going to be a real winner for people who are looking for opportunities. Then also there are a lot of non-governmental organizations that are doing a deep study of circular economy and are also providing technical help for state governments that are implementing circular economy projects. And NGOs are both foreign and Indian. Opportunities in this sector may range from research, action-oriented programs, and even event management. So event management is another area which you can consider. Now let us talk about aerospace and defense sector. Now aerospace and defense sector is one of my favorite pet areas. I've been associated with this area for the last 20 odd years. And this is one area where the government is giving special attention. India is one of the largest importer of aerospace and defense products in the world. Nearly 60% of our defense requirement is imported from Russia, Israel, and various other countries. And it costs India a hell of a lot of foreign exchange in importing these products. So now the government is giving special attention to companies that are able to develop these technologies, bring it up to world-class standards, so that the government of India can buy from these companies locally, domestically. And in the last, I would say 5 to 6 years, there has been a spurt in the growth of aerospace and defense sector companies. Now, in aerospace, there is plenty of action going on in UAVs. Nearly 50 to 60 companies, maybe even 100 companies have mushroomed over the years in the last 4 years since policy measures have been announced by the government. UAV is a great area to be in today. The future of aviation is unmanned aerial systems. There will come a time when aerial mobility will become commonplace. Air taxis will become commonplace. And the time is now. If you're looking to be a part of that action, you should consider UAVs as one of the areas. And this is not rocket science. You don't have to be an engineer to be a part of this sector. Business development of any sector requires a parallel process alongside technology development and engineering processes. Without business development, all these things that you invent or develop or do R&D for can be kept in a warehouse and not more than that. So if you're not an engineer, you still have a chance here. A lot of the UAV companies are started by people who are non-engineers, who are lawyers, who have got a marketing degree. I am not an engineer myself, but I'm a pretty decent technocrat over the years. So I can speak technology and I can hold discussions at a very high level when it comes to UAVs. So UAVs has got manufacturing and services in the civil, commercial, and the defense domain. And by the way, here's a little small announcement. All of you should keep your eyes open. There will be an announcement soon with regards to UAV related activities on the EMPI page. I'm not going to say what that is, but keep your eyes and ears open. Now, the aerospace and defense industry also offers a vast array of jobs in all verticals. So this sector is something that you may want to consider. And more importantly, the defense sector, I wouldn't say aerospace, defense sector is recession proof. Government sector is also recession proof, meaning to say that whether times are good or bad, there will always be work for these two sectors. Borders have always to be defended. Militaries, your Navy, your Air Force, your Army always has to keep its operational readiness alive. And when times are bad, the government sector especially becomes very, very, very important. It becomes even stronger. Special powers are given to the government sector. So that is the beauty of being in government and defense, because they are recession proof. I know what I mean to say is they are largely recession proof. Much better positioned than your private sector and public sector undertaking. And there's another thing that I would like you to consider is that before you start looking at a particular sector, see, it's important to learn what the policies and regulations are. Policy and regulation is generally a very dry subject, and but it is not hard to find good articles on Google. You need to go, for example, if you want to join renewable energy. Renewable energy is a fantastic sector. There is going to be only more growth in this sector, in solar, in wind. Before you join this sector, learn the regulation. I don't mean by heart, but read up on it. Where does the government stand? What are the problems in this sector? What is the policy in this sector? Where does India stand? Because when you read policy and regulation, you will be able to have intelligent conversation with some of the more experienced or even experts in this field. So when you go looking for a job, talking to someone, you have some knowledge. You can talk, you can have an intelligent conversation. So this is something that I would urge you people to do. Nobody taught me that. I started learning about policy and regulation much later, nearly after I'd spent 10, 12 years as a professional. And I realized that how important it is to understand policy and regulation. Now, the other sector that I'm coming to is going to be healthcare. Now, one of the positive results of the pandemic will be that the government of India will be forced to put in place a universal healthcare system, much on the lines of developed economies. This means that the government will budget large sums of money to put in place necessary infrastructure, which in turn will open up large number of opportunities for employment. Just like in the US and other developed economies, the management of large-scale health infrastructure will be left to the professionals. And healthcare and health services are today professional degrees being offered by schools and colleges. And it won't be just the doctors who will manage these, but it will be run by proper professionals. The other sector is the agriculture sector. Again, the government has recently amended the Essential Commodities Act. Now, this will help the farmers to sell their products in a free and an open market to anyone, anywhere. It was not so. Just 3 months ago, it was not so. The government is also ushering in new technologies for increasing the yield per acre, modernize irrigation system, put in place storage facility for food grains and perishable commodities. So there are many agro industries that will be looking towards finding opportunities to assist the government in putting in place new systems, new technologies. It will be putting in place marketing channels, sales channels to help farmers. Now, this is one area that you have to keep your eyes and ears open to. Maybe you can even create an app. If you have that entrepreneurial spirit in you, that drive in you, go for it, do it. Now, the other sector is the social sector and not-for-profit sector. Given India's huge population, it is at times impossible for the government at the central and state level to find solutions for all sections of society. In a large country like India, there are often a great many examples where government has not been able to reach out or fulfill the needs of the citizens. In such a scenario, NGO, not-for-profit organizations play a key role. There are immense opportunity. My CII experience is a not-for-profit experience, and I had one of the best times in my life. It was fun working there. There are immense opportunities in this sector ranging from animal welfare, policy advocacy, animal welfare, civic activism, care for senior citizens, legal help for the poor, food donations, etc. The list is very long. And you can do all of this very professionally. And also the salary structure in these organizations is also very good. In the not-for-profit organizations, there are many well-run industry chambers also, such as CII, FICCI, ASSOCHAM, and a whole host of very influential organizations that can provide opportunities. If social sector is your calling, not-for-profit is your calling, then I would suggest you do a good study of the policies and consider this as a place to be. Similarly, manufacturing is another area where the government has come up with many incentives and policy for electronics manufacturing. Many companies are leaving China, and it is likely that some of them, not all of them, some of them may come to India. And especially true of Apple, which is planning to shift its manufacturing to India, and many other companies. So manufacturing is something that you may want to keep in your mind and do it. Although this is again a niche area, but this will have plenty of job opportunities in the coming future. The government wants to make India a hub, global hub for electronics manufacturing, raising exports to $400 billion. Likewise, logistics and warehousing, which is linked to manufacturing and provides a very large number of employment opportunity, is also something that you may want to consider. Logistics and warehousing are also very specialized in terms of education. There are literally courses even up to PhD level that you can do in logistics and warehousing. Today, logistics and warehousing is a highly advanced sector, and with the use of modern technologies such as AI and robotics, it opens up a plethora of opportunities. Now, friends, in the end, I would like to conclude by saying that it is only a matter of time before the Indian economy bounces back stronger than ever. You can do anything. The world is your oyster. The ultimate challenge is to be able to pick yourself up fast and get back into the race. Luck favors the prepared. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir, for honoring us with your presence on virtual platform. I think I'm audible enough?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for honoring us with your presence on virtual platform, with your wonderful speech on self-reliant India and emerging opportunities for the youth, and adding valuable contribution on this topic. As you said, do what you don't want to be. As you said, do what you don't want to be, there where your success lies with. So that's where your success lies with. I'm sure it has encouraged the students to get onto this world and be the best they can. So, sir, there are a few questions on the platform where students would like to ask from you. I'll go on asking one by one. The first question I'll talk about: what are the main areas that are dealt with in aviation sector, and what is the requirement to become part of professional engineers in the field of aerospace?
Okay. So first of all, when you talk about aerospace and aviation, these are two separate sectors. Aerospace deals with the manufacture of aircrafts, okay?
Yes.
Related products that help an aircraft to fly in the air, take off, land. Aerospace deals with the maintenance, repair, and overall. So as far as engineers who want to join the industry, if they join the aerospace industry, then they are joining a company that is manufacturing these products. If you join a Boeing or an Airbus, then they are manufacturing aircrafts. If you join, say, a Bharat Forge or a Tata, then they are manufacturing parts that go into these aircrafts. Okay. Then next is your aviation. Aviation is the industry which flies these aircraft. Okay. So if you're a pilot, you want to join something related to planes, then you join the aviation industry. So your Air India, your SpiceJet, your Air Asia are a part of the aviation industry. Now engineers can also join the aviation industry because you need engineers in the aviation sector also to,
Right.
for maintaining the aircraft, overhauling the aircraft, repair of the aircraft. So engineers can join either line of the sector, aerospace or aviation, but both are separate but interlinked. Once aerospace supplies all the products to the aviation industry. Aviation is where the service is undertaken. It's the service side of the industry.
All right. All right. Thank you, sir. The other one goes about what will be the opportunities in cement and steel manufacturing field in upcoming days post COVID-19?
Okay. Now, if you listen to our minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, he has time and again indicated that nearly $500 billion or $500 billion will be invested in the infrastructure sector of India. Which means that a large amount of money is going to be spent on building highways, interstate highways, intrastate highways, borders. A large amount of money is going to be spent on building ports. Nearly 200 new airports are going to be either built or the old ones are going to be refurbished. Similarly, many ports, seaports are going to be built or refurbished. So the infrastructure opportunities are huge. And likewise, the use of cement and steel is the basic ingredient that goes into this. So I would say that as the pandemic dies out, in fact, it need not even wait for the pandemic to die out. The infrastructure industry is already beginning to see the light of day as we speak. So the future is there. There's no need to worry about the use of steel and cement in this industry. It is going to pick up. Without that, we cannot move as a nation. It is the most important sector because it produces the highest number of employment.
All right. Thank you, sir. What changes or developments will be able to witness in the advertising industry in the future? And what kind of opportunities will be available in this scenario in both public and private sector?
Well, see, as far as advertising is concerned, first of all, we've had a huge backlash with the Black Lives Matter movement. You have followed it. And many of the, products such as Unilever, have been forced to remove many of the slogans like fair and lovely, etc., which had been a part and parcel of advertisement for the last so many decades.
Right.
So advertising industry has to be more now be kinder towards all sections of the society, so advertising is changing. It is becoming more social, but in a more responsible way. For example, recently a company had claimed that they have the cure for COVID. If they have a particular Aushadhi, they will be safe from COVID. So these were false claims. So there has to be responsibility. Many times some of our leading actors have been taken to court for making false claims, although they tell them that, yeah, we were just doing it because we were being paid, but then they were the communicators. So advertising industry is perhaps the single biggest medium for the last mile communication between the product and the purchaser, but it has to be more responsible now. It has to keep everybody in mind before they sell a product. So that likewise it is changing, and it is set for an overhaul. I'm sure there are strategies that are being put in place as far as messaging is concerned.
Okay. Uh, so somebody has asked also about the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan.
Yes.
So should not make India turn away. So what's basically this Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan should not make India turn away from the international trade? What are
So
the policies turning into this scenario?
absolutely. You see, India is a part of the World Trade Organization. Okay, we are a signatory to the World Trade Organization. This is a very good question and a timely question. By that means is that you are a part of a committee of nations. You are not someone who is operating parallelly on their own. If you buy things from others, others buy things from you, and there are rules and regulations for the sale, for the import and exports of products. Because you have a problem with China, you don't like them, you cannot tell China to get out and tell them that they cannot sell products in India. It does not happen, because China is also signatory to the World Trade Organization. So when the Prime Minister says Atmanirbhar plan, he says that look, India should not be import dependent to the point where it favors the other country. Okay, China sells us more than it purchases from India. So why does it purchase less from India? Because it needs less from India. It already manufactures everything that it needs. So there is domestic purchase of its own product. Maybe there are some things that they don't make in India, and they are agricultural products. Maybe they don't grow there. Okay. So what the Prime Minister is saying, look, your industry should be strong enough so that our local population can buy Indian products and buy less from China, so that the trade balance is not more in favor of one country. So that is why they are trying to give away favorable incentives and loans to domestic industry to make them stronger. That's what it means.
Okay, thank you. So, as you talked about the self-reliant India, what takeaway points would you like to give to our students who are going to become the managers in the various organization in future to become a self-reliant individual?
Well, first of all, have a clarity of thought when you're a manager. Second is set your goals. Be very clear on what you want. Third is make fast decisions. Keep everybody in the loop. Make fast decisions so that even if they are wrong, you have the time to correct them. Do not sit on something and pass the buck to somebody else. Okay? This is something that I see in the workplace being done a lot. People like to take on all the responsibility, but when it comes time for execution, it doesn't happen because they don't know how to make the decisions. And they don't make the decisions because the clarity of thought is not there. Okay.
Right.
So an individual will become self-reliant only if he has clarity of thought. If he takes on a project, he needs to know what the end result is, what the end goal is, what is desired from him. Once that is known, then there is a ability to make quick and fast decisions. Even if they are wrong, fine, they can be corrected. Okay. So this is something that I would like to tell the young managers.
Thank you. Thank you so much for answering the questions with full enthusiasm. And we're very grateful for your time and effort you took to share your thoughts and experiences in this session. Thank you so much, sir, again. And now I would like to request Dr. Premashish Roy, Assistant Dean, EMPI Business School, for proposing vote of thanks.
Yeah, hello everybody. Yeah, It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks for this webinar. We are extremely happy that Mr. Siddharth Sivaraman, an UAV enthusiast and consultant, has taken out time to deliver such an insightful lecture on self-reliant India and emerging opportunities for the youth. Indeed, we are fortunate that you are a mentor at our Atal Incubation Center at EMPI.
Thank you.
You are there to guide, mentor, and mold young minds.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, your session was full of wisdom and information.
Thank you.
You first motivated the participants. You very nicely divided the entire session into two halves. First, you ignited the young minds. You talked about the unique opportunity during lockdown. It reminds us, Albert Einstein, in the midst of every crisis lies great opportunity.
Yes.
Absolutely. It is important. You nicely told that it is very important to be happy. What makes you happy, we need to find. You talked about it's very important to have a goal, to set a goal. You also harped upon the importance of skill development for today's youth. You talked about how accountability leads to responsibility. And then you very nicely went on talking about self-reliant India. Yesterday, we have all seen in the news, Government of India had taken initiative already to ban something around 59 apps of China. Right. I think the topic on which you had a wonderful discourse today was really very apt and relevant for with the time. You talked about that India has everything, but the ecosystem needs to be improved. It needs to be ameliorated. You talked about how Government of India looking for vocal for local products and become global. Well, we were also looking at the Government of India's plan like the 3Ps model: people, product, and planet. Take care of the people, take care of the product, and take care of the people, profit, and planet. Sorry. You talked about the exciting opportunities in the field of UAV. People used to have a feeling like, oh, it's not my field, it's for the engineers. You have broken that myth, you being yourself an example to the young minds, that you not being an engineer, how you have become an expert in the field. You talked about the other domain, other sectors. You talked about agriculture, health sector, social sector. The most important thing which you have told to the young minds and the participants, read policy and regulation. Policy and regulation is really very important. If one knows, can extend the horizon and can have a kind of roadmap what the government is planning, and you can go parallel along with the government's vision. So it's very important for the young minds to keep an eye on that. Even we, the faculty members, were enlightened by your talk. Once again, I thank you, Mr. Sivaraman, for having spared your precious time for all of us. We thank our President, Pankaj Saran sir, and Vice President, Dr. Beera Saran, to patronize this webinar. We thank all the faculty members and staff for extending their support. And of course, I thank all the participants and students who were rapidly engrossed in this brilliant session. Well, EMPI's guiding philosophy is innovating futures. We keep on doing exciting and innovating projects and events. As you already mentioned about UAV and UAV linked with the EMPI, right? So thereby, EMPI always opens up plethora of opportunities for the young minds. So thank you once again, Mr. Sivaraman, for joining us. Thank you all the participants. And we have lined some more webinars I'll request all the participants to follow us in LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram for more updates for exciting events and webinars. Thank you all. Have a nice day. Thank you.
So much. Thank you.